If public speaking makes you anxious, then you've probably heard this advice. Just keep showing up and it will get better. And for some people, that does work. But for many, many more, they just keep showing up and it doesn't get any better. In fact, it often gets worse. And this leads people to think, well, I guess just public speaking isn't for me, or it's always going to feel this way. So then they turn down promotions, or they don't start their dream business, or they let other people get credit for their ideas because this public speaking fear seems endless and like it doesn't have a solution. Through my work as a public speaking coach, I have come to understand why just showing up doesn't actually work. And more importantly, I've learned how to fix it. If you're one of those people who keeps showing up and it doesn't get better, you're not broken. You're caught in a cycle, and the right information can set you free. The information I'm about to give you has helped so many people overcome their fear of public speaking. They went from showing up consistently and having that same nerve-wracking experience to feeling so good and confident about public speaking that they got huge sales commissions, accepted promotions, and launched businesses. In this video, I'm going to share with you why you don't improve even though you keep showing up, and then I'm going to give you practical steps that you can implement right away. My name's Heather. I'm a public speaking coach, and just like you, I used to dread public speaking, and every single time was the same until I got sick of it. I started doing a bunch of research. I tried out a bunch of things, and eventually I got myself over my own fear of public speaking, and now I help others do the same. I have gone from feeling that dread, shaky voice, all those terrible symptoms, to being on national television and working with clients all over the world. This is just one of my many videos where I take you into the psychology of public speaking and give you real, actionable steps that you can implement and get genuine results. If this is something that you want help with, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. All right, let's get into what's going on and how we're going to fix it. Now, the first thing to realize is that public speaking is one of the biggest fears and most common fears in the world. And so in my opinion, being nervous or afraid of public speaking is completely normal and natural. When some people get up to public speak and they experience that nerves and the fear for the first time, they get up and they're in front of the group and maybe they're experiencing some symptoms, but perhaps they're not so severe that they're interfering with their ability, or they just don't mind that. And when they're done, they think, oh, that wasn't so bad. You know, people were receptive to what I had to say. I think I did a pretty good job. And so their exposure to their to public speaking actually reduces their anxiety. They realize that it's not something that they should be afraid of. And so those are the people that are going to recommend to you that if you just keep showing up, it'll get better. So on the other side, we have people that feel those initial nerves and fear. And what happens is that nervousness actually interferes with their ability, because when we go into fight or flight and all the nervousness issues that get created with the working memory, it can be really hard to come across as articulate and confident and professional when public speaking. So your voice is shaking, your face is turning red, you're having trouble thinking your normal thoughts and articulating yourself. And so in that way, you get up to public speak and then it's not a good experience. In fact, it's often embarrassing, or it's something that makes you cringe a little bit when you think about it afterwards. So unlike the first group of people, your exposure to public speaking actually increased your anxiety. This is where we get caught in that cycle. We had our initial fear of nerves. The fear and nerves interfered with our ability. And now what's going to happen is we're getting secondary fear, our fear of our fear, and how that fear is going to interfere with our ability to perform. Because we've created more fear for ourselves, our body's response is going to be stronger. It's going to interfere with our ability more, which is going to lead to more bad experiences with public speaking. This is the negative cycle. Once we're in this cycle, the only way to break it is to change our behavior. And before we get into the 2 steps that are going to help you do that right now, there's one other thing I'd like to share with you. And that's just a reminder that when we work on our public speaking, when we're trying to improve it, it's never just one thing. So it's never like we just become good at public speaking. Improving our ability as a speaker means attacking it from a bunch of different angles, improving a whole bunch of skill sets and different little mini skills. And then overall, we'll feel some relief. We'll see some improvement on our ability. So when I give you these next two steps, it's not do this or that. It's let's do them both. And let's see if we can start to experience a bit of relief. And if you want other angles and you want other skills that you can develop, you can follow me for more because I share a ton of information on this stuff. You can even sign up for my 10-day public speaking challenge, and it's going to help you start working on those skills and work through some of your biggest blocks when it comes to public speaking. All right, let's get into our two-step process. The first step is going to be in this part of the cycle where we fear our fear. So I often see that people have two responses to this secondary fear feeling. The first is they resist it. So they try to distract themselves or they tell themselves they shouldn't feel that way. But all of that is pushing down and not acknowledging the feeling. Remember, our nervous system shows us these things and it flares up in order to keep us safe. And if it's not heard, it's just going to get louder. The other way that I see people deal with these feelings that isn't helpful is they increase them. So when they start to feel the fear, they'll say things like, oh no, how bad is this going to get? This is going to be so embarrassing. I can't do this. What if this happens? What if that happens? And they start snowballing in a way that's really unhelpful. Instead, what I want you to do is help your nervous system feel heard and understood and safe. So when you get those initial fear and nerves coming up, what I want you to do is acknowledge and validate the feeling. So this could sound something like, I feel really nervous right now. That makes sense because in the past, public speaking has been difficult for me. This is very different than, oh no. This is very different than, I shouldn't feel this way. It is, I feel this way, and that makes sense. The second step here is after you have recognized and allowed those feelings, you're going to add a little bit of supportive self-talk. Ideally, you've worked through some of your beliefs around public speaking and you know the counter beliefs that help you. But if you don't have any of those statements ready, you can just say something like, this is a safe thing to do. I am safe. You can even get curious about it. Just because past events haven't been that successful for me doesn't mean that this one will be exactly the same. I don't know how it'll go. I've been working on my public speaking. Maybe it will be better. So to recap, you're going to acknowledge the feeling. You're going to validate the feeling. And then you're going to give yourself a little bit of self-talk that provides a sense of relief. And unfortunately, you're not just going to do this once. You're going to do this on repeat in the days and hours leading up to your public speaking event. Your fear thought habits have been there for a long time. They're going to take a long time and a lot of repetition to break. That's perfectly okay and very normal. The other step I want you to take is a little bit more active. It involves some homework. I want you to take a minute to sit down with a piece of paper and ask yourself, what is it that I am afraid will happen to me? I want you to really get to the bottom of it. And to be clear, it does not need to be logical. It can be something like, I'm afraid people will judge me. It can also be, I'm afraid my boss is going to stand up and point to me and say, that was terrible, you're fired. A lot of our public speaking fears aren't logical, but that doesn't mean that we don't have to honor and respect them. Once you become clear on what exactly you are afraid of, what could be the worst thing that could happen to you while you're public speaking, I'm going to get you to write down the answers to 3 questions. Ask yourself, how likely is it that this will happen? How will I respond in the moment? And then the final question will be, how will I take care of myself after? In the case of, I'm afraid people will judge me, I mean, we don't really know what people are thinking, but it's possible that somebody could be judging you. So the likelihood could be high, we're not sure. And how you can respond in the moment is just recognizing that it's not helpful to be focusing on what other people are thinking of you when you're speaking. That's going to interfere with your ability. So whether they are or not, in that moment, you're going to let it go. And then afterwards, when you take care of yourself, you can have a realistic conversation with, it's possible my old thought habits are making me feel like I'm being judged, or you can go and talk it through with a friend. In the case of something that's a little more logical, it's not very likely your boss will fire you on the spot in front of people. But if it is your worst fear, honor it. How would you respond in that moment? And then same as in the first step that we walked through today, for all of this, you're going to put it on repeat. Every time you feel the fear, every time that fear thought comes up for you, you walk yourself through the steps. Well, it's not very likely. Here's how I'll respond in the moment. Here's how I'll take care of myself afterwards. And you walk the fear thought through to the end. I find that this prevents it from staying stuck in your body, which is going to flare up those symptoms for you, which are going to interfere with your ability and create a bad experience. In this video, we talked about how if you keep showing up for public speaking and it doesn't improve, then you're caught in a negative cycle. And I also shared why that happens and how changing your thought process is the key to improvement. Then we went through 2 concrete steps that you can take that will change the way you show up and how you react to your triggers. Both these steps involve recognizing thought patterns and reacting differently. Only by changing the way you think will you change your experience. I hope this has been helpful for you. Thank you so much for watching, and please like and subscribe and let me know what resonated with you in the comments. You can also let me know what video you'd like to see next.